When you're procuring resin at industrial scale, a shift of just a few dollars per ton compounds rapidly across millions of pounds of raw material. The latest September 2026 update from Polymer Bazaar brings us fresh numbers from Formosa Plastic Corporation, or FPC. The headline figure being quoted for September shipments is $880 per metric ton. That base rate secures you standard PVC grades like S65 and S60, assuming you stick to standard payment terms and standard port delivery. Here is the cost spread. Left is the $880 baseline. Right is a peak configuration pushing the invoice to $930. This $50 gap is the add-on matrix, the cumulative cost of specific credit, grade, and logistical choices. Good procurement means calculating exactly which premiums make sense for your production line, rather than accepting the base rate or the peak by default. Let's start with the physical material itself, your grade requirements. Before you look at the financials, you have to look at what you are actually putting into your machines. If you can run standard grades, S65D, S65, S60, S70, or B57, you stay right at that baseline of $880. But if your product specs require the S57 grade, FPC triggers a premium. Here we see a flowchart breaking down the grade options. Taking the S57 path adds a $10 per metric ton penalty upfront. This route only makes sense if your extrusion or molding equipment demands strict S57 tolerances to avoid jams or defects. Buying S57 just because it's available, without a hard mechanical requirement, actively bleeds your yield margins. Next, we have to transition away from the physical material and look at the financial timing of the transaction. To get that base price, you have to use an LC at site. That means you pay the moment the shipment arrives. FPC does offer an alternative, an LC 90 days term, letting you hold on to your cash for a full fiscal quarter. That delay comes at a hard cost of an additional $10 per metric ton added to your invoice. This diagram illustrates the choice. Weigh that $10 premium against your local borrowing costs. Mathematically, paying $10 extra on the base over 90 days equals roughly a 1.1% financing rate from FPC. If your local bank charges you more than 1.1% to borrow that equivalent cash, taking FPC's deal is a mathematically sound decision. For growing manufacturers needing cash on hand to scale, maintaining operational liquidity for 3 months is well worth that slight bump in unit cost. Finally, we hit logistics, where FPC shipments land at massive, high-volume standard ports. That baseline price includes delivery to major hubs like Navasheva, Chennai, or Mundra. But landing at a major port often means dealing with severe inland trucking bottlenecks and long pickup queues. To bypass this, buyers can route shipments through PIPAVAV, landing much closer to specific manufacturing hubs in Gujarat and Saurashtra. FPC penalizes this specific routing heavily, tagging it with a $30 per metric ton surcharge. This schematic map shows the geographic reality. You're comparing a long inland route from a standard port against a shorter drive from PIPAVAV. The savings generated by driving fewer miles must demonstrably clear that $30 hurdle. Assuming a shorter route saves you money without running the actual trucking rates is a fast way to drain your profits. Logistics can be the quietest margin killer in this entire matrix. So, how do you combine these individual trade-offs into a cohesive purchasing strategy? We can use this scorecard to map specific factory profiles against the optimal FPC purchasing setup. First is the baseline optimizer. This is a cash-rich operation with standard extrusion needs. Their strategy is strict adherence to the baseline, standard grades, LC at site, and standard port routing. They aggressively defend their unit margins by paying zero premiums. Next is the cash preserver. This factory is scaling rapidly and prioritizes operational agility. They should willingly absorb the $10 penalty for the 90-day LC. By leveraging FPC's cheap financing, they keep their capital deployed on the factory floor. Finally, we have the geography-bound manufacturer, located deep within the Gujarat region. Before they check the box for PIPAVAV delivery, they must run a strict updated freight audit. Inland rates fluctuate, and a $30 surcharge is too steep to accept on geographical assumptions alone. Navigating this complex pricing matrix successfully leads to one clear result: highly profitable, uninterrupted manufacturing that keeps your production lines running smoothly. In commodity procurement, there is no single, universal best price. There is only the mathematically optimal choice, customized entirely for your specific balance sheet.